of Nigeria. Amen. Distinguished colleagues, please can the Senate examine the votes and proceedings of Thursday, the 20th, not Thursday, Tuesday, the 25th day of July, 2023. Page 1, which is 103. You don't have votes and proceedings? Is it for the entirety of the Senate or just some few people? Because sometimes they give at the entrance. Senator Ningi, do you have your votes and proceedings? Okay. DSB, you have your own? So anybody who does not have, please clerk, provide. To page 104. Page 105. Senator Benson, anything? Okay. I saw you raise your hand, that's why. Page 106. Page 107. Page 107. Page 108. Page 109. Distinguished Senator Orwell Onyezo.
Thank you, Mr. President. A very good morning to distinguished senators. I am Chief Orwell Onyezo. I represent Rivers East Senatorial District, popularly known as the treasure base of the nation. I rise to move that the votes and proceedings, as read, is a true reflection of what the proceeding of yesterday, Tuesday, the 25th of July, is. I so move.
The distinguished Senator Onyekachi.
Mr. President, I remain Senator Onyekachi Peter Nweboy, representing the good people of Ebonyi North Senatorial District of Ebonyi State. I stand to second the motion moved by Senator Orwell that the votes and proceedings has been read out is a true reflection of the business of this hallowed chamber. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday be approved. Those in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me commend the clerk of the Senate and his team for a very thorough job in ensuring proper reportage of the proceedings of the Senate. The clerk, keep up the good job. Leader of the Senate. Distinguished Senator Yari.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I remain Abdulaziz Abubakar Yari. I represent people of Zamfara West Central District, Mr. President, and from Zamfara State. Sir, my order is coming from Order 41, matter of public importance, budget importance. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, to report to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day sitting. And the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is independent and urgent. Mr. President, under this section of our rule, I want to bring up the matter of importance to our people, despite the fact that, sir, what I'm trying to brought.
That is order 41, sub 1.
One, sir. Fifty-one. Is this something? Yeah. Okay. 4151. Okay.
Well, very easy. So read subsection 4, subsection 2. Subsection 41(2).
Okay. If the claim is allowed by the President of the Senate and the leave for the Senate is given by the least 1/5 of all the senators, the matter shall stand over till the next legislative day.
So give us an overview of the matter, and if the Senate decides to allow it, we'll take it tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, sometimes back, I think 3 weeks ago, one of our colleagues has raised the matter on the issue of security, and this other chamber has decided to take it as the issue of security is a kind of a nationwide issue or the global matter. But I find it imperative today, sir, to bring it up again, because in Zamfara State, size a daily occurrences. This night, as coming out around 5 a.m., some of the constituents that called me that they are under a very, very serious siege, where 30 people were killed, and the soldiers tried to intervene to rescue some people, and then they are also ambushed, and 7 soldiers were killed in Dangulbi district of Kango in Maru, Zamfara State. These daily occurrences. So, Mr. President, with this development, we saw it deemed it necessary, the 3 of us, to bring this matter before this House chamber for another discussion and see how we can be helped and the situation to improve in Zamfara State. Mr. President, you will agree with all of us that Zamfara State is a kind of one place out of the 7 states that where this problem has been for a very long time because of our disadvantage of either mineral resources or a vast forest where they can go and do their maize in the neighboring states, Niger, Kaduna, Katsina, and come back and hide in Zamfara forest. Mr. President, there are so many issues in the issue of security that people are under serious problem. Even our farmers cannot go to farm. There's a letter that written by the bandit that farmers should not go to farm until they are paid a kind of ransom, or else if they go, they know that they don't come back with their lives.
So, in other words, though you want the Senate to give you the opportunity to bring it up tomorrow by way of a proper motion for elaborate discussion. Distinguished colleagues, I believe the issue in question is definitely very urgent, worrisome, and affects the lives of Nigerians that we are here to protect. So, is it the view of the Senate that this issue be discussed tomorrow? Yes. So, distinguished brother, you can bring it up tomorrow. Yes.
Sunday Marshal Katun. I represent the people of Kaduna South Senatorial District in Kaduna State. I come under Order 41 and 51, Mr. President. Matter of urgent public importance. I read the order. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. Section 51 makes reference to the issue of notice, which will be dispensed with if the Senate President so agrees. The matter in question is the urgent need to address the issue of the outbreak of diphtheria in Kaduna State, with particular reference to Jamal local government in my senatorial district, where over 20 people have so far died, and the numbers are rising by the day. With your kind permission, Mr. President, I crave the indulgence of my colleagues to take up this motion.
Distinguished colleagues, our brother had actually brought this issue before me and I believe it's a matter that is urgent. So is it the view of the Senate that he be allowed to proceed to bring to the fore this outbreak of diphtheria in his community? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, my colleagues. I am Sunday Marshall Katun, representing the people of Kaduna South Senatorial District. My motion is on the urgent need to arrest and contain the outbreak of the deadly and highly infectious diphtheria disease in parts of Kaduna State. The Senate notes that there is an ongoing outbreak of the deadly and highly contagious diphtheria disease in parts of Kaduna State, following the index case of a 4-year-old male child whose illness started on July 4th in Jama local government. The Senate further notes that since this index case, the Kaduna State government has confirmed that the death toll from the diphtheria outbreak in the state has risen to 17, with 68 suspected cases identified across the state as at Sunday, the 23rd of July, 2023. Also note that a breakdown shows that 10 people have reportedly died from the disease in Kafanchan, Jama local government area of Kaduna State, while 3 children died in Makarfi local government area, while 7 others were hospitalized. Cognizant that diphtheria is a highly contagious and infectious disease caused by a bacterium called Corynebacterium diphtheria, rendering infected people struck with serious breathing and swallowing problems that may develop sores on the skin. Worried that the highly contagious nature of the disease means that without immediate and concerted efforts towards curbing it, the disease would spread at a devastating rate, especially considering the communal and poor living conditions in most rural communities in Nigeria. Averse that Nigeria's recent experiences with Ebola virus and the COVID-19 pandemic shows why outbreaks of virus epidemics must be fought with the best biomedical and scientific tools and knowledge available. The Senate resolves to urge the Senate or mandate the Federal Ministry of Health and the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention to liaise with the hierarchy of the Kaduna State Ministry of Health towards intensifying the search for active cases of diphtheria with contact tracing, risk communication activities, and movement of affected cases to health facilities for management. Also urge the Senate to mandate the Federal Ministry of Health to liaise with the Kaduna State Ministry of Health with a view to moving health workers to the affected areas and also intensifying surveillance activities across the 23 local governments of Kaduna State. Also urge the Senate to make any further directives as deemed expedient in the circumstances to allow our people to breathe. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Distinguished Senator Khalid.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Ibrahim Khalid. I represent Kaduna North. I rise to second this motion as ably moved by my brother, Senator Sunday Marshall Katun. I so second. I also wish to add that this disease is a very, very dangerous disease. Not only dangerous as such, but it is equally deadly. I know that the spread is now going far and wide. It is very clear, even on the news as at yesterday, it used to be 2 local governments as on Monday, but as at yesterday, it has spread to over 5 local governments. And this may continue if it is not stopped. I believe that those areas affected, particularly the Jama local government from the southern part of the state, and then Makarfi local government from the northern part of the state, are bordering some of the states, particularly in Makarfi, borders the towns of the local government in Kano and Katsina state. And also the Jama'a borders states like Nasarawa and Plateau State. So if this thing is not averted immediately, it will spread like a wildfire. I believe it is important that the Senate, the Senate agreed with this motion so as to stop its spread and also, stop the loss of lives as it is contained in the motion paper. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Tony Way.
Thank you, my leader, my president, and distinguished colleagues. My name is Dr. Tony Moye. I represent the group of Anambra Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to contribute about this deadly bacteria, Corynebacterium, that causes this disease. Why I'm contributing is because this disease is a very infectious and very contagious disease. And not only that it's very infectious and contagious, this disease, once it comes, can lead to complications that causes myocarditis, that causes endocarditis, and many complications. And this disease looks like Ebola, looks like COVID-19. I mean the symptoms and the signs. And this disease, because of the incubation period, is just between 3 to 5 days. So it's very, very dangerous, very, very virulent. And that bacteria is a very, very, very stubborn bacteria. And another contribution to this motion that the federal government should provide vaccine immediately. Because it's a very stubborn bacteria, the drugs of treatment, which are penicillin and the erythromycin, sometimes the bacteria changes its bacterial wall and it can resist it. So vaccine is very important. I'm advising and also praying that in addition to what my brother Senator Katungu has said, that federal government should provide vaccine immediately, because the best option or treatment or management for this disease is to vaccinate, because this disease can be transmitted by somebody who cough, maybe by coughing or by kissing or by any other even touching somebody, because it's very virulent and infectious. So provision of vaccine for this diphtheria is very important. Thank you, my president.
Distinguished Senator Nwokocha. Darlington Nwokocha.
Thank you, Mr. Senate President and their colleagues. My name is Darlington Nwokocha. I represent Nigeria, but Abia Central in particular. Mr. Senate President, I want to sincerely thank the mover of this motion. I think that this motion should be a wake-up call. Thank God that the budget of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will soon come, that we need to look into the health sector critically. I know quite well, considering as well that the climate change, so many other things of this nature will be coming up. But the question is, how ready is the entire country to arrest the situation, to nip it at the time we're supposed to do? I'm aware also that we have a national hospital in Nigeria, which is supposed to be a one-stop health shop for anything that has to do with research and attention given to the health sector. That when things go out of hand in certain states, we have to refer them to the national hospital. But Mr. Senate President, I will call this National Assembly, the Senate, that all of us should suspend the sitting one day and go to National Hospital, which is the hub of where our health issues should be attended to, and go and see what is happening there. It is a total reverse of what we can even look out for in our local communities. Mr. Senate President, I want to say that
that is it's a reverse of what we should look out for. Because it's in the capital city, it can't be the same as the village. So that's no, you didn't hear what I said. You said it is a total reversal of what obtains in the local communities. And I'm agreeing with you that it is located in the capital city of Nigeria and therefore cannot be the same as what happens in your village.
What happens in the village is even better than what is happening there. Mr. Senate President, up to the point that if there's an emergency and you're looking for an oxygen, most times they will refer you to go to somewhere to get a cylinder for somebody to be attended to. And now we're talking about an emergency in localities. Something that a health situation that calls for an attention that these things should be referred to the National Hospital for quicker attention, but we do not have the facilities to attend to it. Therefore, I call that the Senate and the National Assembly should take it up seriously and earmark enough funds in our health sector so that we can have our hospitals, to a very great extent, that National Hospital and some other hospitals in our states to meet up these challenges. If not, we may face other devastating situations that will be difficult for us to handle. So I want to plead that we state the health sector to bring up it as an emergency situation moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Senate President.
Dr. Yunusa.
Mr. Senate President, distinguished colleagues, though I didn't raise up my hand to contribute.
So you have nothing to add as a medical practitioner? You have nothing to add to assist the nation on this all-important motion?
Mr. President, I can contribute, but not as a medical doctor. I have my PhD on energy. Not a medical doctor, sir.
Okay, you're not a medical doctor. Okay. Okay, you have a PhD, so they call you doctor, but not a medical doctor. Well, so you can proceed as a senator to add your voice.
Mr. President, sir, distinguished colleague, I wish to contribute that the issue raised by my brother senator is an important one, as it has to do with the health and medical issue of the people, not only in Kaduna, in Nigeria as a whole. I want to support the motion that we make the Senate adopt its recommendation and communicate same to the affected ministry. Thank you, sir.
Distinguished Plank.
The President of the Senate, my distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Diket Plang, Senator representing Plateau Central. I rise to support in its totality the motion move. And I am saying so because the nature of spread of this disease is very dangerous. It is spread through airborne and fluid contact. And if you look at the season now is a season where people interact. It's a season when vegetables are sold out, when fruits are easily consumed without people washing. And this disease can be transmitted through airborne or fluid contact, drops from respiratory source, the nose and so on. I sincerely feel that step must be taken with an immediate effect, since vaccination is another source of arresting this. So I wish that we support it and call with a very loud voice that the necessary steps towards stopping this must be done, and that our people need to know that there is a disease in circulation, and we need to take proper care of what we consume. I support this, and I pray that we'll be able to direct accordingly.
Distinguished Senator Sani Bello Mustafa, His Excellency.
Mr. President,
distinguished colleagues, my name is Abu Sani Bello, representing Niger North. I rise to support this motion, but I just have an observation. Under the paragraph where it says resolve to, I think we should also add that the primary healthcare development agency should be part of the agencies to work on this. Yes. We should add, urge the Senate to mandate Federal Ministry of Health, Nigeria Center for Disease Control. We should also add the primary healthcare development agency. Yes. Thank you.
Noted. Distinguished Senator Mongunu.
Mr. President of the Senate, distinguished senators, my name is Mohammed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. President, the contribution I'm going to make is against the backdrop of my experience of oversight visitation as chairman of the Agri Committee in the House of Reps to the premier Vaccine Production Institute in VOM, Plateau State. In the course of our oversight, the management of that institute took us through all their facilities and clearly in unambiguous terms told us that if they have all the necessary support, the backing of the National Assembly by way of necessary funding, they have the capacity to produce all sorts of vaccines that will even cover not, but to the best of my knowledge, up to now, they have not got the necessary funding with a view to boosting the wherewithal for them to produce vaccine, not only for national requirement, but even for the requirement of the sub-region. So, Mr. President, distinguished senators, the outbreak of COVID-19 has clearly exposed the weakness in our health system, particularly with regard to vaccine production. So there is a need for this Senate to rise up to the challenge, since we are vested with the power of appropriation in the next budget appropriation year, to give all the necessary backing to this vaccine production institute, so that they can not only back but bite in the course of the discharge of their mandate. That is what my humble submission, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, I don't think there is anybody who is opposed to this motion, and it's an urgent health hazard that I believe that we have to take the right steps and urgent steps in order to arrest the situation, so it does not become a pandemic. For now, it's an epidemic. So if we don't take the right steps, we may end up with a pandemic. So I believe we should go straight into the prayers. Prayer 1, urge the Senate to mandate the Federal Ministry of Health and the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention to liaise with the hierarchy of the Kaduna State Ministry of Health towards intensifying the search for active cases of diphtheria with contact tracing, risk communication activities, and movement of affected cases to help facilities for management. Those who are in support of this prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. But somebody was saying amendments. Yes, Senator Leno.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Mohammed Adamu Aliyu is my name. In view of the contribution made by former governor of Niger State, Abubakar Sani Bello, this prayer should be amended to include Federal Ministry of Health, Center for Disease Control and Prevention and Primary Healthcare Development Agency. National Primary Healthcare Development Agency.
Any seconder to that amendment? Yes. Distinguished Senator Sadiku.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Ohere Sadiku Abubakar, Senator representing Kogi Central. Mr. President, I rise to second the amendment proposed by distinguished Senator Aleru. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, prayer 1 has been amended by way of motion and seconded. Those who are in support of the amendment say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So I'll read the. Let me read the amendment that we have just accepted. Then you can come with your own. Urge the Senate should mandate the Federal Ministry of Health and the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the National Healthcare Development Agency to liaise with the hierarchy of the Kaduna State Ministry of Health towards intensifying the search for active cases of diphtheria, including contact tracing, risk communication activities, and movement of even the affected cases to other health facilities in order to manage the disease. Those in support of this prayer 1 as amended say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, distinguished Senator Godia Akwashiki.
My distinguished colleagues, my names are Senator Akwashiki Godia. I represent Nasarawa North Central District. Mr. President, I would like to, because of the importance of this subject matter, I wanted to speak, but fortunately your eyes didn't catch me. I want to amend prayer 1.
Yeah, distinguished Senator, please, you come by way of an additional, additional prayer. Let's finish with prayer 2. Then I'll get back to you. Thank you. Prayer 2. Urge the Senate to mandate the Federal Ministry of Health to liaise with the Kaduna State Ministry of Health with a view to moving health workers to the affected areas and also intensifying surveillance activities across the 23 local government areas of Kaduna State. Those in support of this prayer to say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Just hold the fire. Prayer 3. Urge the Senate to make any further directives as deemed expedient in the circumstances. Yes, amendment to prayer 3. Prayer 2 has been dispensed with. Prayer 2 has been dispensed with. Prayer 3.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, my names are Senator Akwashiki Godia. I represent Nasarawa North Central District. Yes, Mr. President, I want to put it this way. Because of the closeness of Nasarawa Plateau to Kaduna, and because of the importance of this subject matter, because it affects the life of our own people, I want to urge that the Senate should mandate the Federal Minister of Health to liaise with Kaduna State Minister of Health and any other state suspected of this outbreak, so that you should include, so that it should not be Kaduna alone. When they discover any suspect in either Plateau, Nasarawa, or any other state, they should meet.
So your amendment to prayer 3, because what is here is urge the Senate to make any further directives. So instead of that, you are saying that we should say urge the Senate to direct the Federal Ministry of Health and other relevant agencies to liaise with with other states held to the entirety of the states of the Federation in order to just go on. Use your mic.
Urged the Senate to mandate the Federal Ministry of Health to liaise with Kaduna State Ministry of Health and any other states in the entire country with a view to moving health workers to the affected areas and also intensifying surveillance activities across all local government in Nigeria.
Distinguished Senator Banigo, you may wish to second that amendment.
Thank you. Senate President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Dr. Ipalibo Banigo. I represent Rivers Senatorial West. I stand to second that amended prayer that was ably presented by my colleague. And I wish to add also that this disease is, if I'm permitted, sir. Sir. Yes, sir. Okay, I second the prayer. Thank you.
Yes, but you are protected. You are about to give us more qualities of the disease. Please go ahead. Use your mic.
It primarily affects children, and it's a respiratory infection. And it is totally preventable by childhood immunization. The reason why we are seeing spikes of it now in some states, and it's likely to spread, is because we know that immunization rates have reduced all over the country. And I think it is important, his prayer, so that there'll be a wake-up call for the Federal Ministry of Health, the NCDC, and the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency.
Okay, so you will come up with the additional prayer. But for this amendment of prayer 3, you are saying that we should, Senator Kwashiki, you are saying we should urge, the Senate should urge the Federal Ministry of Health to liaise with all the other state ministries of health and relevant agencies of government dealing with health matters to curb the spread of the disease across the country. And it has been seconded by distinguished Senator Banigo. Those who are in support of this amendment say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Now for the additional prayer, distinguished Senator Banigo, you wanted to bring up an additional prayer on the need for total vaccination across Nigeria. So go ahead.
Senate President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Dr. Ipalibo Banigo, representing Rivers Senatorial West. I wish to put up an additional prayer, put forward that because of what we have seen happening in Kaduna South, and which may spread likely, it is a wake-up call that childhood immunization all over this country should be attended to with seriousness by the various Federal Ministry of Health and its agencies. I so submit, sir.
Yes, any seconder? Yes, the Senior Senator Zango Dara, Jr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I'm Nasir Sani Zangondara. I represent Katsina North Senatorial District. I rise to second the added, prayer?
Added prayer, yes.
As proposed by my dear sister, I so second.
The additional prayer by our dear sister, which has been seconded, those who are in support of the additional prayer say aye, and those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished Senator Sani Musa, I'm sure you want to talk about the need for us to fund vaccination facilities. We think alike. So go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. I'm Mohammed Sani Musa, representing Niger East. My additional prayer is that the Senate should urge the federal government of Nigeria to strengthen, by way of funding, the vaccine production and research institutions in Nigeria.
Yeah, Senator Manguno.
Distinguished Senate President, distinguished senators, my name is Senator Mohammed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. I second the additional prayer ably moved by distinguished Senator Sani Musa, as earlier espoused by my contribution.
Distinguished colleagues, the additional prayer is to the effect that we should urge the federal government of Nigeria to increase funding to all institutions and agencies involved in production of vaccines, particularly this notorious diphtheria vaccine, to enable us capture all the citizens of the country, particularly the most vulnerable. And it's been seconded by distinguished Senator Monguno, who earlier espoused them. Those who are in support of this additional prayer say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. Now, SARS, it must be very serious, because I think we have captured all topics.
Mr. President, thank you so much for this opportunity, distinguished colleagues. The additional prayer is that the Senate should urge. My name is Shoaiba Falabi Salisu. I represent the good people of Ogun Central. The additional prayer is that the Senate should urge the National Association of Resident Doctors and all professionals in the health sector to shelve any industrial action now and continue to, while urging the federal government to also engage them to ensure that all hands are on deck to address this health challenge and any other challenge that may arise in the country in the meantime.
Any seconder? All right, please, there's a prayer on the before the chamber that we should urge the resident doctors and other health workers to shelve any idea of going on industrial action until Distinguished Senate President, Deputy Senate President.
Order 52-4. A senator must confine his observation to the subject under discussion and may not introduce matter irrelevant thereto. Mr. President, what he has brought to the fore is quite different from what you are debating right now. I therefore urge you to rule him out of order.
Well, it was very interesting if we could kill two birds with one stone. But in view of the fact that the Deputy Senate President has raised a point of order, which I think is crucial, therefore he is ruled out of order. Point of order sustained. Now, let me thank very distinguished Senator Masha for bringing up this urgent motion. It affects the health of all Nigerians, and the timely arrest of the spread of this diphtheria will definitely save lives and will stop the country from going into a state of pandemic. And I also want to thank all my distinguished colleagues for their contributions. And I think the most important issue here is that, quite unlike COVID-19, this one has at least a preventable solution in terms of vaccinations. So we must urge all the relevant state ministries of health to intensify vaccination, particularly of the most vulnerable in our society. And everyone should be on the lookout for the spread of this disease so that we can curb it and we do not end up in a pandemic. Thank you for bringing this to the fore. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President CNC for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as members of the board of the Northeast Development Commission in accordance with Section 5, subsection B of the Northeast Development Commission Establishment Act 2017. In serial number 1 is General Paul Taffa, retired, being proposed for reappointment as chairman, representing the Northeast. Then Honorable Gambo Moicano, member, Northeast Taraba, the chairman from Adamawa. Number 3, Abdullahi Abbas, member, Northwest Kano. Number 4, Sav Stephen Andwana, member, North Central Benue. Chief Mutiu Lawal Are, number 5, is member, Southwest Lagos. 6, Honorable Samuel Ifeanyi Onugo, member, Southeast Abia. 7, Frank Achinike Oho, member, South Rivers. 8, Mohammed Goni Alkali for the appointment as Managing Director, Northeast Borno. Number 9, Musa Yashi, being proposed for the appointment as Executive Director, Humanitarian Affairs, Northeast Bauchi. Ahmed Abdul Salam Yahya, number 10, being proposed as Executive Director, Operations, Northeast Gombe. And 11, Dr. Abubakar Garba Iliab, being proposed as Executive Director, Admin and Finance, Northeast Yobe. Mr. President, distinguished senators, in order to carry out like to move 2 motions. The first motion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is that the Senate do admit the Special Advisor to the President on National Assembly matters, the nominees, and other officials of the Commission into the Senate chamber. I so move, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, the leader of the Senate, in conformity with the other 12 of our standing rules, has moved a motion that we do suspend the rules of the Senate to allow strangers to approach the chambers. So I invite the minority leader to second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion moved by Leader of the Senate that in conformity with our orders, Order 12, we should suspend our rules to enable the essay to the President on legislative matters to proceed to the chambers of the Senate so that we continue the approval of the names for the Northeast Development Commission. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion before us is that we should suspend our rules to allow strangers to enter the chambers of the Senate during the session. Those who are in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Then, the Leader of the Senate, you move another motion that we should allow the SA and others, since we've suspended our rules, to enter the Senate. I'm sure that's where you are going. Go ahead.
Well, Mr. President, that was the essence of my first motion, and the motion having been decided, I think the second motion I'll have to move actually has to do with having to go to executive session. But the first motion is already moved. So, may I proceed with the second motion? Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate do resolve into the Committee of Whole to conduct the confirmation hearings.
The Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to second the motion that the Senate hereby resolve to the Committee of the Whole to continue proceedings as regards the confirmation of these names from Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, those in support of the motion say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. We resolve it to the Committee of the Whole. The Sergeant at Arms. Distinguished colleagues, the leader of the Senate, can the nominees proceed and approach the chair and then take their seat on the right-hand side so we can move forward? And please do make sure that their CVs are circulated to all members. Distinguished colleagues, while sitting arrangements, the nominees must know that this is a temporary chamber because the main chamber of the Senate is under renovation. So in case you notice we have constraints of space, it's because our main chamber is under renovation. So while arrangements are being made for them to have some seats to sit down, I don't think we should be held to ransom. We should proceed immediately. Some of them are reappointments, but they still have to introduce themselves to Nigerians so that the people of the Northeast and other Nigerians will know those who are running the Northeast Development Commission. So I want to invite the chairman, General Paul Tarfa, to please take the stage, clerk of the Senate, and introduce himself immediately. For the purpose of today, please take a seat near to the minority leaders until they provide you with seats.
Mr. President, sir, on behalf of the Board of the Northeast Development Commission, we are sincerely grateful for the privilege to be here before you for the assignment I'll start again. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. President, for the opportunity for us to be here before you to affirm the pledge given to us. And we promise to deliver according to the Act. We are grateful to be present indeed before the caucus of yesterday, and we have learned a lot. And we will not disappoint the government and the Honorable Senate for the assignment given to us. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. President.
Alhaji Mohammed Goni Al-Kali, designated Managing Director.
Your Excellency, the President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, the Deputy Senate President, all distinguished principal officers of the Senate, and other senators here present. My name is Mohammed G. Al-Kali. I was the immediate first MDC of North Development Commission, and by the grace of God, I was nominated for the appointment for the same position for another 4 years. My chairman has spoken about the task before us, and I want to concur on what he has said, that if confirmed, we will do our best to surpass our first best. With that note, I want to thank the President of the Senate and other leaders of the Senate for giving us the privilege to be here today for the consideration of confirmation of appointment. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Alhaji Musa Yashi, Executive Director, Northeast Bauchi.
Your Excellency, President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, distinguished principal officers of the Senate here present, all senators, distinguished senators here present. My name is Musa Umar Yashi. I come from Bauchi State and a nominee for the position of Executive Director, the Northeast Development Commission. I want to thank Mr. President, the distinguished senators, for allowing us to be here today. This is a rare privilege, and I want to say that this is my first time of coming to the chamber of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I do thank you.
Dr. Abubakar Garbi Ilya, Executive Director, Northeast Yobe.
Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, distinguished principal officers, distinguished senators, good afternoon. My name is Dr. Abubakar Garba Ilya. I come from Yobe State. Prior to this, I was a Commissioner for Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management in Yobe State. Distinguished President, if we are confirmed today, we will work as a team in the Northeast Development Commission to develop the people of the Northeast and, by extension, Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, the other members are known to you. You have all their CVs before you. Honorable Gambo Maikomo, Abdullahi Abbas, Zav Stephen Ondora, Chief Mutiu Lawal Are, Honorable Samuel Ifeanyi Onribo, and of course, there are about, with the chairman and the management, about 11 of them. So I will yield the floor to my colleagues. If anybody has any question to ask, I've seen that some of them are just reappointments and others are members of the floor. So Solomon Adiola, you will speak only when the chair recognizes you. So I will yield the floor in case anybody has any question to ask. At least their resumes are before you. He's the minority leader of the Senate.
I want to make a remark. Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished senators. My name is Dr. Simon Mwatkon. I'm from Plateau State, and I represent Plateau North. Mr. President, my remark is directed to the President of this country, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This is the second time we are approving nominations of people from the President to work for this country. And I want to commend him, Mr. President. Again, I can see that,
Please, distinguished colleagues, the minority leader is speaking, and he has pointed out that this is the second time that President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has made nominations for appointments in this country since he assumed duties as President and Commander-in-Chief. And so far, he has commended the President for a fantastic way and the wisdom that he has used in ensuring this appointment. So I want to also hear the minority leader because I have also noted that the president is doing well in that direction. So I'm very excited about it. Please continue.
Thank you, distinguished senator. Honestly, distinguished senators, I'm overwhelmed because, as it is enshrined in our Constitution, the third schedule of our Constitution, Section 14.3, that deals with the issue of federal character. Mr. President has demonstrated that he recognized the diversity of this country. And we can see from the Northeast Development Commission, ordinarily somebody would have just considered that the people that will be so appointed will be for the Northeast. The act. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Mr. President, I need your protection. We have seen other appointments that even with the act, the appointments are not done as what we have seen today. And therefore, I still insist, I want to commend the president for this. The diversity of the country has been taken into consideration. And therefore, I think it is what we want to encourage the president to continue to do, even in subsequent appointments, sir, that he should honestly recognize the diversity of this country so that we will not have any problem in approving any of his appointments that comes before us. And I think I should make this clear. Of course, like colleagues have said, the act itself is saying that the appointment should be this way. But, sir, we are in this country. We have seen, even with the act, some presidents have not followed as he is following. So I really want to commend him. And therefore, I wish to urge my colleagues that these are people that are well known to us, people of proven integrity. I've seen some of my colleagues in the House of Representatives as part of this commission. I want to welcome them and to pray that please you will do what is needed of you so that this country can move forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, I don't think it's subject to debate unless anybody has any question. If you have a question you want to ask, because when the minority leader has himself observed that the APC administration is doing very well for Nigeria, under the leadership of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he goes to say that Nigerians are in tune with the president, and Nigerians are appreciative of the actions of the president. And coming from the red chambers, I think this is extremely important. Coming from the Nigerian Senate, we must not please the press. Don't take this for granted. This is a major kudos for Mr. President, and I don't. Please, Senator Solomon Adiola Olamiloku, let it not look as if it's only the minorities that have noticed the good works of the president. Can you say something in this direction?
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleague, Adiola Solomon Olamilekan, Ogun West Senatorial District. Let me join the minority leader in commending the president for this wonderful nomination of men of integrity that have been nominated to steer the ship of the Northeast Development Commission. Mr. President, sitting as the chair, this agency is an agency of necessity. It is one agency that was set up by the 8th Senate to take care of the challenges confronting the Northeast as a zone, as a region. They are equally on a first-line charge. But, Mr. President, distinguished colleague, most of the people we are having before us are on reappointment. And it will not be a bad idea if we can ask, especially the man in the helm of affairs, what has been the success story? What has been the challenges? How far have this commission been able to impact meaningfully on the lives and the well-being of the Northeast as a region. And I believe that billions, millions have been voted in this regard. So one or two words from them will allow us or give us a better picture of what the activities of the Northeast Development Commission has been within the last 4 years. Mr. President, I so submit.
I wouldn't, I think that is a fantastic question. And with that, you have spoken the minds of the Senate, so that we can go into other issues. The Managing Director, do you wish to take the stage and just give us in summary, because you can't talk about what you do on a daily basis. Just give us summary of the highlights of your major achievements so far. Not you as, I'm talking about the entirety of the commission since the setup, which justifies the continuation of this Northeast Development Commission. Just in summary, please, in brief. 2-3 minutes, let us know. And in case you have also some challenges that you think the Senate should come in to assist, you just also let us know.
Your Excellency, Mr. President of the Senate, the Deputy Senate President, and other officers of the Senate, and distinguished senators. Since I have only 3 minutes, sir, I would just say, since our inception, today I can proudly say that we have over 600 projects across the Northeast, cutting across all sectors: education, health, housing, human capital development, and so on and so forth. And these projects cut across only 112 local governments of the Northeast. And today, we have a project, one project at least, in each of these 112 local governments of the Northeast. And above all, I don't want to repeat because the mandate for the commission came out from this chamber. The key mandate for the commission was to produce a master plan that would take care of the developmental needs of the Northeast. Today, I'm proud to say that that master plan has been developed and endorsed for execution. And in that master plan, we have 11 pillars. Those pillars cut across industry, agriculture, education, empowerment, and so on and so forth. And it is being categorized into 4 phases. We have the immediate, midterm, and long-term, and the sustainable development going forward. And for this master plan, as endorsed for execution, there are about 530 schemes, projects, and programs which we need to execute based on the 11 pillars we have identified. And the amount required for this execution as of June 2022 is 31 trillion naira, which is equivalent to about $80 billion. And our plan was not to rely solely on the government to fund these projects. We have a plan to do PPP. We have a plan to warehouse and garage in funding from the donor agencies, or in fact, encourage the private sector to get involved. So I assure you that once we commence this master plan execution as approved, I think our people in Northeast will know that in addition to what we did previously, that the commission has come to stay. The challenges, 32 trillion naira, but what we are getting annually is just very, in terms of comparison, very small. So I'm sure as we start execution, I'm sure we'll come back to the chamber to request for support to see that we execute that master plan as seriously as possible, as practical as possible to cover all the noses. Thank you, sir, Mr. President.
Before we release you to go, I know that you are working under almost the theater of conflict, where sometimes even your projects are destroyed after construction. And in some instances, insecurity will not even allow the workers to conclude or complete most of your projects. But we commend the last administration of President Muhammadu Buhari for stemming the tide of the spread of the insurgency. And this current administration of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is determined to ensure the peace of the region. So rehabilitation by your commission will be much more effective and faster. We've had the challenge of funds you are talking about. We've also had the enormous amount of funds that you already have at your disposal. But let me, while you are there, get a comment from the beneficiaries, because we have people who represent the beneficiaries here. Senator Ningi, you represent Bauchi State, and Bauchi State is part of the Northeast. You have either a remark or a question before he takes his seat.
It's a remark, Mr. President. My name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central, Bauchi State. Mr. President, let me join you and other senators in welcoming the nominees to this hallowed chamber. Let me also congratulate the nominees for this very important assignment beforehand. Mr. Chairman, you recalled yesterday this particular clearance has to be stepped down, and the caucus of the Northeast had a marathon session with all the nominees, close to 4 hours, and we were able to extract from them the deliverables they have delivered and those that we expect them to also deliver. Let me also further say, the Northeast was and still remains the least developed part of this country, and of course, with another ravaging Boko Haram, and of course, ravaging desertification. You know, this caucus will partner with you, will make sure that those projects, the 600 project mission, are supervised, and of course, if there is anything that is left over, it is our responsibility. Of course, there will be a committee that will oversight you, but we resolve as a caucus in making sure that money is made available to actually comes to you, but you have to guarantee before the Senate that those monies, when available, are actually utilized as prescribed by the Constitution. And you also recall, no money is spent by the nation except in a manner prescribed by the National Assembly. And I want you to take that particular injection, particular clause, very, very serious.
No money should be spent until it's done in a manner prescribed by the National Assembly. I want to, on behalf of all of us, caucus of the Northeast and other senators, congratulate you, and we look forward to actually working with you this time around. We want all the senators representing the Northeast in making sure that projects cited in their constituencies are actually followed and oversighted. Thank you very much.
I believe strongly that Senator Nengi, when our committee oversighting the commission commences work next week, they should be able to report periodically to the caucus of the Northeast and also to the Senate, so that we know whether they are in compliance with the laid down rules and regulations and the act. But we are in total sympathy with the people of the Northeast over the ravaging situation, and we believe that we have capable hands here. But let me hear from the former Senate President, my brother, Senator Ahmad Lawan, in case he has any advice to give.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues. My name is Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan. I represent Yobe North. And like Yobe North connotes, I'm from the Northeast, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, let me join all of my colleagues who previously made their interventions or remarks to commend Mr. President for the nominations and also congratulate the nominees. Mr. Chairman, I have some concerns. The commission has been set up to intervene in the development challenges and issues in the Northeast. And we know where the shoe pinches in the Northeast, in our states. Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, our experience in the past shows that there was overbearance by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. This commission is not set up for the ministry. It's set up for the people of the Northeast. And I will advise here that the projects, the programs, must be programs and projects that are initiated by our states. I don't want to go into some of the details of how overbearing the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs was. But it is very important that our committee on special duties that will oversight this commission works very closely with the commission, and our states should play very, very determining and fundamental roles in what projects are executed in our states. The MD nominee or designate said they needed about 2 trillion, and when he was to say what they have, he said it's small. I was expecting him to say a figure, because that will tell us the wide difference between what we actually need and what we actually have. We will never have enough, but we need to have something significant. So, Mr. Chairman, my distinguished colleagues, I want to appeal to our committee that will eventually work with this commission to be extra vigilant. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, or whichever ministry will work or supervise this commission should not take precedence, should not be the determinant of the kind of projects that we should have in the Northeast. And for the commission, the chairman of the commission, the MD, are all coming back. I'm sure they would have learned some lessons. It is our states, it is the National Assembly that should be at the center of how that commission intervenes in the various states of the Northeast. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
The MD, you make a brief comment on that. And we are not saying that we want to take over execution because our job is lawmaking. Our job is also appropriation. But at the same time, we have a major role to play, which is that of oversight. The advice the distinguished senator has given you is that your commission should engage more with stakeholders so that they will know what, because they know what the people want. And also engage also with the state governments so that you don't duplicate projects. So we already had a similar commission in the Niger Delta that they were duplicating projects. They go to a community and do borehole, and the government goes there to do borehole, the local government goes there to do borehole, and then the member of the National Assembly goes there as constituency project to do borehole. So one community may end up with 4 boreholes, and then the other places are left without water. So if you are going to work, it's important that you also liaise with members of the National Assembly, particularly the committee that will oversight the Northeast Development Commission. And our colleagues here who have things to contribute, particularly those from the Northeast, will also contribute through that committee. And then we are also being advised that whilst the ministry has a supervisory role over you, the ministry should not take over the running of the Northeast Development Commission. In other words, it's not the ministry that should run the commission. You are the people selected, and if confirmed by the Senate, you have your role to play. So I don't know whether you've learned anything from the mistakes of the past and you want to make a comment before you step down.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have carefully listened to what my senior brothers have said about what had happened in the past. And I'm also sure that my chairman too has listened very carefully, and the incoming directors as well as those of us who have been reappointed. In my language, they said you can listen 2 ways, one with the ears and other with your heart. I want to assure you that we have listened this both with our ears and with our heart. And I assure you that we are going to implement whatever is necessary to improve on our efficiency, to ensure that we deliver the dividend of the commission to the people of North East.
Is it the view of the Senate that the nominees should take a bow and step out while we continue with the business of the Senate? Yes. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Take a bow and take leave of the Senate. Will the Senate approve the nomination of General Paul Tarfa, retired, representing Northeast Adamawa, for reappointment as chairman of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Gambo Maikamu, representing Northeast Taraba State, for appointment as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Abdullahi Abbas, representing Northeast Kanu, for appointment as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yeah? Northeast is what is written here. Abdullahi Abbas representing, oh, okay. Oh, please, I'll put that question again. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Abdullahi Abbas, representing Northwest Kano, for appointment as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Stephen Ondona, representing North Central Benue, for appointment as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Chief Mutiu Lawalare, representing Southwest Lagos, for appointment as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Samuel Ifeanyi Onuribo, representing Southeast Abia, for appointment as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Frank Achinike Oho, representing South Rivers, for appointment as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Mohammed Goni Alkali, representing Northeast Borno State, for reappointment as Managing Director of the Board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Musa Yashi, representing Northeast Bauchi, for reappointment as Executive Director, Humanitarian Affairs of the Board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Ahmed Abdul Salam Yahya, representing Northeast Gombe State, for appointment as Executive Director, Operations of the Board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Dr. Abubakar Garba Ilia, representing Northeast Yobe State, for appointment as Executive Director, Administration and Finance of the Board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, may I most respectfully move that the Senate revert back to plenary for the chairman to report progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sitting as chair, I wish to second that the Senate reverts back to plenary.
The motion has been moved and seconded that the Senate do revert to plenary to report progress. Those who are in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, considered the request of Mr. President nominating persons for appointments as chairman and members of the board of the Northeast Development Commission and approve the nomination of the following: General Paul Tafa, Chairman; Honorable Gambo Maikamu, Member; Abdullahi Abbas, Member; Sir Stephen Ondona, Member; Chief Mutiu Lawal Are, Member; Honorable Samuel Ifeanyi Onuibo, Member; Honorable Frank Achinike Owa, Member; Mohammed Goni Al-Khali, Member; Managing Director, Musa Yashi, Executive Director; Ahmed Abdul Salam Yahya, Executive Director; Dr. Abubakar Garba Elia, Executive Director; Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Now I put the question. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Major General Paul Tarfa, retired, representing Northeast Adamawa, for reappointment as chairman of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of General Paul Tarfa, retired, representing Northeast Adamawa, for reappointment as chairman is hereby confirmed for the board of the Northeast Development Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Gambo Maikumo, representing Taraba State, for appointment as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Gambo Maikamo, representing Taraba State, is hereby confirmed as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Abdullahi Abbas, representing Northwest, that is Kano, for appointment as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Abdullahi Abbas, representing Northwest Kano, is hereby confirmed as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Zav Stephen Ondona, representing North Central Benue, for appointment as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Sir Stephen Ondona, representing North Central Benue, is hereby confirmed as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission. Will the Senate confirm Chief Mutiu Lawal Are, representing Southwest, that is Lagos, for appointment as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Chief Mutiu Lawal Are, representing Southwest Lagos, is hereby confirmed as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Samuel Ifeanyi Onwigbo, representing Southeast Abia, for appointment as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Samuel Ifeanyi Onwigbo, representing Southeast Abia State, is hereby confirmed as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Frank Achinike Ohowo, representing the South-South River State, for appointment as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Frank Achinike Owo, representing South-South River State, is hereby confirmed as member of the board of the Northeast Development Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Mohammed Goni Alkali, representing Northeast Borno State, for reappointment as Managing Director of the Board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Mohammed Goni Alkali, representing Northeast Borno State, for reappointment is hereby confirmed as Managing Director of the Board of the Northeast Development Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Musa Yashi, representing Northeast Bauchi State, for reappointment as Executive Director, Humanitarian Affairs of the Board of the Northeast Development Commission. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Musa Yashi, representing Northeast Bauchi State, for reappointment is hereby confirmed as Executive Director, Humanitarian Affairs of the Board of the Northeast Development Commission. Will the Senate confirm the appointment of Ahmed Abdul Salam Yahaya, representing Northeast Gombe State, for reappointment as Executive Director Operations of the Board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Ahmed Abdul Salam Yahaya, representing Northeast Gombe State, is hereby confirmed as Executive Director Operations of the Board of the Northeast Development Commission. Will the Senate confirm the appointment of Dr. Abubakar Garba Elia, representing Northeast Yobe State, for appointment as Executive Director, Administration and Finance of the Board of the Northeast Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Dr. Abubakar Garba Elia, representing Northeast Yobe State, is hereby confirmed as Executive Director, Administration and Finance of the Board of the Northeast Development Commission. Let me thank all members of the Senate for the ways and manner the confirmation exercise has taken place, and pray that the reappointed and the new members will work together to ameliorate the sufferings of the people of the Northeast, and that they will live up to expectations. May Almighty Allah guide them in their duties. The Senate Leader.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is a motion standing in the name of distinguished Senator Izu Nassor Osita and 14 others on condemning the disruptive nature of sit-at-home demonstrations in the southeast Nigeria. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Izu Nassor Osita to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Osita Nassor.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Osita Nassor. I represent Imo West. Mr. President, this motion is seeking to condemn the disruptive nature of sit-at-home demonstrations in the southeast Nigeria. Mr. President, this motion is being sponsored by all the senators of the southeast in these chambers, as listed in this order paper. Mr. President, this motion is actually at your instance, and we will thank you immensely for allowing us to move this motion. There are other co-sponsors of this motion, which include the Deputy Senate President, the Senate Leader, Senate Whip, Senate Deputy Whip, Senate Minority Leader, Senate Deputy Minority Leader, Senate Deputy Whip, as well as Senator Abdul Ningi from Bauchi North. Mr. President, the Senate is aware that thousands of innocent lives have been lost since this action of sit-at-home in the Southeast started, and properties worth over $1 trillion have been destroyed, which has resulted in investors leaving the region. Further aware that the sit-at-home civil disobedience action in the Southeast has led to the disruption, vandalization, disruption of economic activities, as well as immeasurable financial losses for businesses, workers, and the total economy of the Southeast. Because of this, when people are forced to stay at home and businesses remain closed, productivity declines and income is reduced, thereby affecting the livelihoods and the general economic growth of the region. The Senate notes that the sit-at-home protest disrupt the education of our children, leading to missed classes and delays in academic programs. And such prolonged disruptions have long-term effect on students' learning outcome and educational development. Mr. President, the Senate is disturbed that disruption of essential public services, such as health care, that if you are sick on such a day, you may not even be able to see a hospital that will attend to you, and this might result to death. Transportation and waste disposals continues to have severe impact during the sit-at-home protests, which adversely affect the well-being and safety of the general population living in the Southeast. Mr. President, the Senate is further disturbed that the sit-at-home protest continues to lead to an act of violence and clashes with law enforcement agencies, which has led to uncountable loss of lives of innocent persons, security agents, and protesters. As this increases the potential for criminal elements to take advantage of the situation to engage in looting or other unlawful activities while the people stayed at home and watched helplessly. Mr. President, the Senate is worried that if the activities of Simon Ekpa, who is issuing the illegal sit-at-home order, is not checked, he may succeed in corrupting the minds of Nigerian youths and turning them against the government of Nigeria. Accordingly, the Senate resolved to condemn the sit-at-home in totality, as well as the nefarious activities of Simon Ekpa, who is the gang leader.
Point of order, the leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, I rise on point of order 8(3) to move for extension of time to enable us to take care of all the items we have on the order paper. I so move, sir.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to second the motion moved by the Senate Leader that we extend the time so that the issues on the order paper can still be further discussed. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, the leader has moved a motion seconded by the Minority Leader that this hallowed chamber do extend the time of our sitting to enable us to exhaust all the items on our order paper. Those in support of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes. Distinguished Senator Izonaso, you may continue.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just at the prayers of the motion. I will start with number 1 prayer, which is to condemn, that the Senate should condemn the sit-at-home in totality, as well as the nefarious activities of Simon Ekpa, who is the gang leader. 2, urge the federal government of Nigeria to collaborate with the Finnish government and extradite Simon Ekpa for prosecution. 3, urge the federal government to use political solution and approach in handling the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And finally, invite the Minister of Foreign Affairs, when appointed, or at best, the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and relevant stakeholders to carry out thorough investigation as well as bring other sponsors of the act to book. I so move, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Benga Daniel H.E.
Our Senate President, most distinguished colleagues, my name is Otumba Engineer Benga Daniel, representing the people of Remo and Ijebu in Ogun East Senatorial District. I'd like to respectfully second this motion that the Senate should positively consider these prayers, but with the kind permission of the Senate President, make a few comments. Mr. President, sir, the problem that has been ably enunciated by distinguished Senator Osita, Isunaso, and all the other senators, especially from the Southeast, is indeed a national problem. Mr. President, it is common knowledge that our brothers from the Southeast largely hold the commerce of this great country. It is indeed common knowledge that while we continue to insist that our country will only move forward if we begin to localize production and consume things that are made here in Nigeria. It is a common knowledge that it is indeed from this location that giant strides are being made to make so many things which are now becoming international standard in our great country. If commerce, therefore, is shut down in this part of the country, I'm afraid it indeed a national problem that I think should be treated as a national challenge. Mr. President, sir, quite a number of innocent people have fallen victims. I recall with great sadness that a great friend of mine, Ahmed Gulak, was allegedly shot, though unproven, by people who have been trying to enforce this sit-at-home order. I therefore want to urge our colleagues to do everything that is possible to put a stop to this national malaise that has the capacity, if not checked, in grounding the whole nation economically. I so support the motion, sir.
Distinguished Senator Abaribe.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name remains Engineer Abaribe. I represent Abia South. And in the epicenter of this menace, I want to thank the mover of this motion and the rest of us, plus all those others who have risen in support of this motion. And I also want to thank my good friend OGD for helping to make it known to everyone that this is a national problem. First of all, I will crave the indulgence of my colleagues to go back to history, because my people have a saying, if you don't know where the rain started to beat you, you will not know when it will have also ended. This matter of sit at home started in 2021, August 2021, when the agitation group called IPOB insisted that they will go on a sit at home because of their leader held in prison in the DSS. 3 weeks later, when the effect of the criminal takeover of this started to manifest, this same IPOB came out and said that they are no longer supporting sit at home, that they will have stopped. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, the genii had been removed from the bottle, and all manners of criminal elements had taken over and now use the sit at home to kill, to maim, to burn houses, to kill policemen and all manners of innocent people. When that continued, by December of 2021, and I need for everybody to know this, in company of former senator and our former deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu, 2 bishops, and the secretary of Ohaneze, I went with them to meet with their leader, Nnamdi Kanu, in the DSS headquarters. And there, we pointedly asked him, why did you institute this menace that is crippling the Southeast? He denied and said that the person who is going ahead and insisting that he's doing sit at home on his behalf is somebody called Simon Ekpa, living in Finland, and that he never authorized that. And that actually, the person he said that ought to represent him is another person, and he called the person's name, Chike Edozian. We came back from that meeting in DSS, called a meeting of all the leaders of the Southeast, and said, this is what Nnamdi Kanu says, that he is not part of this. Yet, every Monday, what happens is this: a few miscreants, and I use the word advisedly, come out, shoot and kill 1 or 2 people, and run away, and video it and send across the whole of the Southeast, and everybody is now scared. The governors we met, all of us in the National Assembly we have met, everybody has condemned it. I need the Senate to know that there is no one in the Southeast except the criminals who support this sit-at-home. Their modus operandi is simple. It's just terror. I have called the market leaders in Abia, and I said, you can't continue to stay away. And they told me that the people have threatened to burn their markets at night if they don't stay away. So this is beyond the citizenry coming out to just say, we don't accept it. Because what they have done is to use terror tactics to intimidate a whole region. And we have had meetings with the DSS, and all that the DSS has told us is, listen, these are just a few people. They will come out in one road, they will find somebody just driving along on his way to doing anything, shoot him, and then they will say it is because of sit at home. Take his car away, go and keep it in their den, and later go and sell it. So these are nothing but criminals. So I support this motion, and especially the matter concerning someone who is a dual citizen of Nigeria and Finland, staying in Finland, giving orders, and in fact, giving, I will say, orders that you don't understand why people should accept it here. But then, criminals will always find a reason to do what they want to do. I have also had interactions with the Finnish embassy, and in fact, the United Nations head in Nigeria, who is from Finland. And what she told me was, it is a government-to-government interaction that will lead to a resolution of this, because as a citizen of Finland, that he has a right to express his opinion. But I can tell you, my dear colleagues, each and every one of us has suffered greatly from what is happening in the Southeast. They attacked Senator Carlo when he was doing campaigns. They attacked me. There's nobody they have not tried to intimidate. But we cannot be intimidated because we are in a country that has rule of law. And so I support this motion in its entirety. And when the time comes for the prayers, if there's anything I will add, we will. But we want to urge our colleagues and the rest of Nigeria to see this matter not just as a Southeast matter, but as a matter for Nigeria. I so submit.
Very distinguished colleagues, is there anybody that is opposed to this motion? If there is nobody, let me ask a personal question. What is, or what has the various state governments in the region done to curb this menace? I'm asking advisedly, because this is localized. If you are talking about a group of criminals who come out like, guerrilla warriors, hit and run away, if they are brought to book, paraded in the open on television, and then they are interviewed, and the citizens know that the governments of their various states are up and doing, it might be a major solution. That's what I'm asking. You know why? Because if the governor of the state himself obeys the sit at home on Monday, and then the civil servants that work in government house obey the sit at home, and government shut down on Mondays, it means the real governor of Southeast is Simon Ekpa, ruling the Southeast from Finland. So I want to know, and let me ask the former governor of Southeast, what has the government or governments of the various states of the Southeast done to stem this menace? Distinguished Senator Ojus Okalo.
Mr. President, thank you very much. My name is Oji Carlo. I represent Abia North. Although I've been raising my hands and you are busy calling opposition and leaving the major party. And I think you should change your mind. I should be looking at this way. Because some of your senior colleagues are sitting here, people who became governor before you.
You made a mistake that I asked you to speak? You think the chair made mistake by asking you to speak? No, but I think, no, I don't know about your hand. I'm saying that you have a lot to contribute. I can only see your hand when my eye catches your hand.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. I think I want to first of all thank the mover of the motion and thank Senator Benga Daniel and the Senator Abaribe. The Abaribe have given what the problems looks like. I also need to thank our armed forces because our armed forces have done very well. Without our armed forces, you will not be coming out in that region. This was when General Lagbaja was the GOC. Those boys ran away, and when he left, they came back. So we need to have another GOC that will look like Lagbaja. That is the truth. If the former governor of Ebonyi is here, he was a governor then. I wasn't a governor, but I was mostly at home, and I saw what they were doing. These boys have caused an industrial problem in our area. And where he represents Senator Abaribe, they are mainly manufacturers. And Aba is a manufacturing hub. None of the industries can open. People have suffered so much. Although, like what you said, as a governor, if I am still a governor, what I would have done is to find a solution within the Southeast governors. The Southeast governors need to drive the system. It's not the work of the president. I've said it time without number. When we are governors, these people also started doing something like that. Their leader then, I sent him away back to his state in Imo. I said, you cannot do it in Aba. I will not be here, you will do it here. You must do it in your village, not here. He moved to Okwe, in his village, in Imo State, Okigwe. So the Southeast governors have a lot to put in. In my opinion, it's a security matter. I can brief you privately. It's not what I can come up here to give out all the solutions, because I gave a lot of tips to the then GOC and the then Chief of Army Staff, and they use it and they comb the bush. These boys are in the bush causing trouble. Just 2 days ago, they killed so many people along Obudochi local government on the Ihube area of Okigwe area. So this motion is not what will come out here and put all the solutions and the problems in the public. It's something we need to brief the security agencies. They will be able to man out strategy on how to dismantle these boys. Over 7 trillion naira has gone because all the manufacturing houses are down in Aba. People in Niger, people in Meduguri, people in everywhere, they used to go to Aba to buy goods. And they're no longer going because you can't cross the expressway. You can't even go by road. These boys are hijacking the trailers. The other day, they hijacked the luxurious bus going from Aba to Meduguri. And luckily, the army intervened. The new brigade commander that just reported about 1 week ago was able to intercept those people, and they took back the boys they hijacked in the bus. So it is like Senator Abaribe says, it's no longer IPOB or anybody, it's criminality. Criminals have turned on how to do their jobs by going to take cover or sit at home. They bought part of my factory the other day. They bought, in the campaign period, they attacked both of us. But we responded because it's a duty that we cannot run away from our land. Nobody can pursue us out of our land. So the governors are major problem. They must stand up and work with the security agents. It's not wanting to blame governor of Abia or governor of Enugu or governor of Anambra or Igbo or Ebonyi. No, they must come together to fight together, to clean them up together, and to be able to get a solution. So, Mr. President, I want to thank you for calling me, but do look this way always. More. Stop looking that way, look this way. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
The reality is that nobody is opposed to the motion, unless anybody has any information. Outside that, nobody is opposed to this motion, which will just go straight to the prayers. And the civil senator, Joseph Okalo, like I expected, you have given us an insight on how we can arrive at the solution. On the activities of Emeka, is it Simon Ekpa? Are you related to him? Okay. That is Peter. Engineer Kenneth Eze. Eboyin. Related to Simon Ekpa. Okay. So I know it's from, it has to be from, it's from Eboyin State. So go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Engineer Kenneth Emeka, representing the good people of Ebonyi Central Senatorial Zone. First of all, let me thank the mover of this motion, because the situation we find ourselves in the Southeast is very pathetic. And it's not well presented here with its seriousness. The situation we find ourselves in the Southeast is in the way that people are being kept under siege against their wish. They remain at home. No activities in the Southeast when this order is being given. Sometimes it lasts more than a week, and people are forced to remain at home. I'm interested because governors have been mentioned here. I happen to be a local government chairman before now, and I know these challenges, the enormity of the challenges we find ourselves. Governors are doing their best. This has defied so many solutions raised up by the governors. A situation we find ourselves that these hoodlums will come out, confront the security agents, and then we'll have a shootout. Mr. President, I hope you're listening. Yes. Thank you. If I'm protected.
The civil senator. The civil senator Eze. Yeah, address the chair.
By the governors. A situation that they will come out from their hideout, hold the whole state at ransom. They will be moving from police station to police station, burning the police station, confronting these security agents, they will pull out all their ammunition, and sometimes they overpower the security agent and still burn their station, kill the policemen, kill the soldiers. They will hold the state at ransom for good 4 hours, killing, moving from one section to the other, destroying, burning properties. We will call for reinforcement from security agents. They will come, they will be repelled. That is the seriousness of the situation, Mr. President. I would want a situation that the federal government will take this case as a matter of urgency that need immediate attention, so that it will not look as if they have overpowered the security agents. In my own police station, they came in, they killed 6 policemen, burned the police station down. It is not as small as it is being presented in this hallowed chamber. It is more serious. And the situation will try to defy the order. People that made that attempt will be killed. You try to take your children to school, you will be killed with your children and your family in the car. And these people will walk away like that. Tomorrow, there will be directive, nobody should sit at home. Nobody will obey the order. Those that try to defy that order will be killed. It's not as if they'll be spared. And all the states have their operation, channel of the operation in every state. They have their camp in every state, not 1, not 2. But the security agents dare not go there. Even when the information are being given to them, they do not get there. So it is very serious, Mr. President. Let's take this matter as a matter of urgent public concern and fashion out a solution, serious solution, not group of hoodlums. These are group of cabals, or may I call it group that are obedient to Sam Eba. They have their head in every state in the southeast, and they are functioning. They live in the bushes there. So I want to submit here, please, the matter should be taken more serious than is being presented in this hallowed chamber. It has defied the solution of the state governors. Let the federal government intervene. I so submit.
Well, please, Distinguished Senator Emeka is it right? My own brother from Ebonyi State. Ken, we read these things on a daily basis. But the primary purpose of government is to protect the lives and also cater for the welfare of citizens. In the Southeast, if this situation is allowed to linger, the welfare of the citizens are already being affected, and their lives are not safe. One of my senators from my community in Akwa Ibom sent his chief of staff to go to Anambra State. He did not know that that was a sit-at-home day. The chief of staff was killed, and about 4 people in his convoy murdered. So it is not something that is affecting only the Southeast. It's affecting the whole Nigeria. Because people go for marriages, they go for functions, and even transporters and commuters who pass through the Southeast are also in danger, because you may not know the day that Simon Ekpa has given instruction that nobody should go out. That's why we are spending time to discuss this issue. It's a very serious issue. The economy of the Southeast used to benefit the economy of the South-South, and vice versa, and the entire Nigeria. People used to travel all the way from Lagos to buy things in Onitsha, and to also buy things in Aba, but those things are being disrupted. So it's almost becoming a national menace. That's why the Senate is wasting time to discuss it. We want to find solutions. As the Senate President, the first question I asked, which I asked distinguished Senator Ojus Okalo, what has been the role so far of the various state governments? They can't continue to have security votes, sit down, come to Abuja every month and go back home and obey Simon Ekpa. And then they themselves don't go to work. They tell their family not to go to work. And they move around, like you said, burning police stations from one police station to the other. This must stop. Nigeria is not a banana republic. So, Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, you've had an experience because you were once attacked. I want us to provide solutions in this motion, practical solutions. And then our committee on legislative compliance will also go ahead after we have communicated our resolutions here to find out the compliance, to find out what the security agencies are doing. The communities must be brought in. The local governments must come in. The state governments must also come in. And you must host stakeholder summit on security in the entirety of the Southeast region and invite even those of us who are also affected to be there. It's not something we can gloss over. We must bring it to an end. You have something to add?
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I'm Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, representing the good people of Anambra South. Mr. President, this motion is germane. All the senators from the Southeast, we are all co-sponsors of this motion, so I want it to be known, and then our respective and concerned senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm only mentioning what is on the other paper. It was co-sponsored by each and every one.
The Senate President is also a co-sponsor. I'm an in-law of the Southeast.
I think it's very, very important, Mr. Senate President, that we take this motion as one of the most important motions that is facing Nigeria today, outside poverty motions. Mr. President, I don't think it's very, very right for a country like Nigeria to be going through this, and we have not been able to ascertain the status of this young man that is in Finland, giving orders, trying to harm people. There is nothing big in what he's doing. He's only using the social media, the advent of social media, to scare people away. You kill somebody in Abia, the entire country is looking at it. There is no monopoly. Anybody can cause harm to people, shooting people at random, people that are unprepared. He is just a murderer, killing people. Mr. President, it may interest us to know that the governor of Enugu State, after the last 2 days, has taken a drastic measure to seal shops of those who continue to obey the sit-at-home, and he's doing it even though there's a bit of harmful, little resistance from people trying to, which they have, they ignited to protest. But he's adamant, we'll continue to fight it. Like Abaribe said, Senator Abaribe said, we will work with the state governments. I don't know what their security vote is doing for. If they can use their security vote to equip the local vigilante. In my own local government, Mr. President, it may interest you to know that we've been able to nip them. Going to 4 months now, there is no single incident of kidnapping in my local government in Nnewi North. And I wish that I will work hand in hand with the state government to see how we can spread the same thing, the prototype, the same kind of prototype which the Chief of Army Staff said before the entire Senate here, even in my absence, a few days ago. You know, appreciating what I have done in my local government, the Chief of Army Staff. So, Mr. President, if the Chief of Army Staff can appreciate what I have done in my absence when he was called to, during his confirmation, then the Stairs region, the governors, should come up clean with their security votes and see how we can get these things out of us. But also very important, Mr. President, I want to add to the prayers, Mr. President, I want to add to the prayers that Senate, if possible, please.
When we, distinguished Senator Ifeanyi, as soon as we come to the prayers, you will do so. But let me hear more in terms of practical experiences so that we can.
In my local government is that we have networked the entire local government by giving walkie-talkies to different stakeholders. And we used woods across the whole local government, that anywhere there's an incident, we block the entire road. And then local vigilante will get to the scene within 3-4 minutes. And it has worked. And I believe if we use that prototype, we'll be able to nip this issue. But the most important thing is to use our international, our security agencies, the diplomatic missions, to invite the ambassador of Finland to know why such a fugitive should be in their country and be giving orders to our country. It is very important that the Senate committee or an ad hoc committee should be set to invite the ambassador or invite the minister or permanent secretary of Ministry of Foreign Affairs so that we will know the status of that fugitive in Finland. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. And what you are saying, it means that even our committee on foreign affairs, please sit down, can handle that so that we can, in private, invite the Finnish ambassador to Nigeria to also give insight. But most especially, we must also think of our foreign affairs to find out when we have the minister in charge of foreign affairs to tell us in a diplomatic way we can use to solve the problem of people hiding in foreign countries and committing havoc in their own countries. It is unacceptable. Distinguished Senator Ndubeze. Distinguished Senator Ndubeze. Oh, sorry, just a minute. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Ezanwa Onyewuchi, and I represent Imo East Senatorial District of Imo State. Mr. President, let me start by commending the mover of this motion, distinguished Senator Osita Izunaso, and my brother, Senator Abaribe, who has given a historical perspective of what is happening in the Southeast and the situation where we find ourselves today. Mr. President, today in the Southeast, we are living under very serious threat. These young men who have taken over the Southeast, they have used Monday, which is a very critical day, where people need to go to market, where market women who want to go and sell their wares, which they have kept over the weekend, on Monday. Now, Monday has been classified as sit at home, and everybody is suffering it. Mr. President, insecurity anywhere is a threat to peace everywhere. So I am happy that Senator Benga Daniels has captured this situation in the Southeast as a national problem. The welfare and security of Nigerians, including the people of the Southeast, is the responsibility of government. Mr. President, a situation where you have some of these hoodlums, we have said earlier that the agitation that started in the Southeast has been taken over by unscrupulous elements. A situation where these boys will come out on the streets and dance naked, and there's no response to the mayhem that they are unleashing on the people. We must talk to our security people. You've talked about the governors.
No, you know, you wanted to give us information.
We must ensure, Mr. President, from experience, that we set up a rapid response mechanism so that we respond to some of these attacks, especially by our security agents. And Mr. President, it is also very important to say here today that a political solution to the release of the leader of the IPOB, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, should also...
Let me, Distinguished Senator Ezenwa, Distinguished Senator Ezenwa, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for the information you have given us. But you know, it's okay. You can sit down. No, there's something you've done that you have not realized, and that's why they are all saying points of order. What you have not realized is that you have dovetailed into what we call prejudicial contributions. You know, there are things that are sub judice. So, but let's not go there. No, you will when we are going to go into, when we go into the prayers. Let's just hear from Senator Ndubweze, who himself is also from Imo State.
Thank you, Mr. President. In our language, imibe anyebe, that is when your nose starts crying, your eyes will also be crying. That is to say, what is happening in Imo, in Southeast, is affecting the whole Nigeria, captured by His Excellency Senator Benga Daniel. I think what we should look for is the solution. And that solution is what we'll advise the federal government to look into. We realize that the economy of the Southeast is going down, and it's affecting the GDP of the whole federation. You mentioned that you asked a question of what the governors have done. I'm from Imo State. It may interest you. I'm the only Igbo for Okigwe for 30 years now. Our own governor, I know how much he has put into the security issue. Even when you are forcing people not to obey, you are even pushing them against their own lives, because these people will be killing them. And even when you are arming youths in the villages or communities, you are also training them tomorrow that they might also, when they start another thing, they use that what training you have given to them to fight the government again. So, one, what we should look into, what can bring peace to the place and to Nigeria, just like we will look into the Northeast. What can bring peace? We can't be always voting money into these security issues, and it goes nowhere. Nigeria remains undeveloped. I will say, please, nobody is going into judicial issues that may be sub judice here. When we talk of political solution, give idea how political solution can be used. If the court have granted bail to somebody, our president, we can urge him to hide under that bail and use political solution and release that man. One. Two, we don't need to wait for the ministers or Minister of Foreign Affairs to have been appointed and sworn in. In absence of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, somebody has been there managing our foreign affairs. We have ambassador in Finland. We have PAMSEC in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They should come here and brief us. They know the diplomatic relationship between Nigeria and a Finnish country. How do we go about it? One, if you release Nnamdi Kanu today, that problem may go down. Two, even if you cannot go, we should look forward how to bring back that Simon Ekpa to Nigeria. Nnamdi Kanu has spoken before
that he cannot kill the people he said he wants to come and save. That man should be brought to Nigeria. It's a major thing. He should be brought to Nigeria.
Let me thank Senator Ndubueze for his contribution. I think there is nobody who is opposed to this motion. So, distinguished colleagues, let's go into the prayers. Prayer 1. Condemn the sit-at-home in totality, as well as the nefarious activities of one Simon Ekpa, the gang leader. Those in support of prayer 1 say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2. Urge the federal government of Nigeria to collaborate with the Finnish government with a view to extraditing the said Simon Ekpa for possible prosecution. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3. Urge the federal government to use political solution as an approach to handling the case of Nnamdi Kanu. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Yes. Yes, point of order. Point of order. No, I did not conclude because of the point of order.
Even though you put the question, you had not ruled on it. Mr. President, let us just remind ourselves of Order 52, sub 5 of our rules. We are an institution of rule of law. If I have your permission to read, Mr. President, I will read.
Please read.
Order 52, sub 5 says, reference shall not be made to any matter on which a judicial decision is pending in such a way as might, in the opinion of the President of the Senate, prejudice the interests of parties thereto. The interests here, the parties here, Mr. President, are the federal government of Nigeria on the one hand and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on the other hand. This matter is sub judice. I am not opposed to our adopting political approach, but it cannot be a matter for a resolution on the floor of the Senate. I so submit, sir.
Yeah, the point of order brought by the Senate leader is very instructive. We can urge the federal government to find ways to end this menace, but we cannot ask the courts to drop their case against Nnamdi Kanu and adopt a political solution. So we have not ruled on prayer 3. So your point of order is sustained.
Is that prayer number 3 be expunged and consider as if it didn't even exist at all?
Yes, Minority Leader.
Well, I wish to second the motion ably moved by the Leader of the Senate that prayer 3 should be expunged because we'll be doing sub judice. I so second, sir.
Distinguished colleagues, the leader has moved a motion that prayer 3 hearing should be expunged in view of the fact that it is offensive to our rules and the matter is sub judice. And it has been seconded by the minority leader. Those who are in support of that prayer say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3 is hereby expunged. Prayer 4, invite the Minister of Foreign Affairs, when appointed, and relevant stakeholders to carry out thorough investigation as well as bring other sponsors of the act to book. Those in support of this prayer 3 now, say aye. Those against say nay. The prayer 4, which is now prayer 3, is hereby approved. The ayes have it. Now, for additional prayer, I would like to invite Senator Darlington and thereafter Senator Ifeanyi, if his own additional prayer is not your own.
Thank you, Mr. Senate President. My name is Darlington Nwokocha. My additional prayer is to urge the federal government and state governments to apply the use of technology to track the location of those criminals involved in this mayhem within real time.
Any seconder? Do you think Sani Musa?
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Mohammed Sani Musa, Niger East. I stand to second the motion as passed by Senator Darlington.
Distinguished colleagues, an additional prayer has been proposed by distinguished Senator Darlington Wokocha that we should urge the federal government to, amongst other means, utilize technology in fighting this menace by tracking the culprits and bringing them to book. And that's a new prayer now. If you are saying within real time, that means that if you don't do it within a week, it's out of your prayer. I thought the idea was, you are saying that they should. You are not limiting it to. Okay, I think you want me to. You want me to say what you said? You want us to add as additional prayer that we should tell the federal government, urge the federal government, amongst other measures, to utilize technology in tracking the culprits with a view to bringing them to book. And that has been seconded by Senator Sani Musa. And you are saying within real time. I don't understand real time. Okay, so, distinguished colleagues, additional prayer from distinguished Senator Darlington Wokocha is that we should urge the federal government and security agencies to utilize, among other measures, the use of technology. Clark, I hope you are hearing. The use of technology in tracking these criminals with a view to bringing them to book. And this has been seconded by distinguished Senator Sani Musa. Those in support of this additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, you can now go into real time. Distinguished Senator Ifeanyi, pick up the real time.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I have two additional prayers. The first prayer is I urge the Senate to observe a minute silence on those that have been unjustly killed by these criminals in the region and in every other place in the whole country, including to have a minute silence, those individuals that were killed. Real time. Number two, Mr. President, and then I am urging the federal government of Nigeria to respect the court decisions on issues that concern Nnamdi Kanu. To respect the court decisions, it's not about to respect the court decision. As Parliament, we are.
Yes, distinguished Senator, distinguished Senator Ositangu, I expect you want to second the prayers moved by the additional prayers. Or any seconder? No seconder. So, no seconder to the motions. No seconder. No seconder. So, distinguished Senator. Any seconder? Yeah. For clarity, distinguished senator, if I remember, I'm right. So for clarity, let's take your prayers one after the other. Take the first one so that it will be seconded.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, please, my first prayer is to urge the Senate to observe a minute silence for all that has unjustly been killed in this act of, this criminal act in the entire Southeast and any other place in the whole country. Thank you.
Thank you. Any seconder? Yes, distinguished colleague.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I am Senator Kelvin Chukwu, representing Enugu State. I second the motion moved by Senator Ifeanyi.
Distinguished colleagues, an additional prayer is to the effect that the Senate should observe a minute silence in honor of those who have been killed in this dastardly act. And this has also been seconded. Those in support of this additional prayer say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes.
Mr. President, we are running a country of rule and law.
Please, the other prayer.
The additional prayer, my second additional prayer, Mr. President, we are running a country of rule and law.
Additional prayer.
Additional prayer, Mr. President, is that I urge the federal government of Nigeria to always respect court judgments. You know, in situations like the court has granted a bail to Nnamdi Kanu. Federal government of Nigeria to respect court decisions.
This is Senator Kaka. You want the second? You want the second? No, please. There's a prayer on the ground. Let's finish with the prayer on the ground. Any seconder? Any seconder? Sorry, let's be orderly. Any seconder is saying that he's urging the federal government of Nigeria to obey court orders. And I said, any seconder? No seconder, okay. So that is it. So distinguished colleagues, let me thank all of us, and particularly thanks distinguished Senator Osita Isonaso for bringing this all-important motion. You'll see that this motion concerns not just the Southeast region, but concerns the entirety of Nigeria. Because insecurity anywhere is a threat to security everywhere. And the entire country has been suffering as a result of the menace of these unknown gunmen in the Southeast. Yes, indeed, we must provide solutions even outside these chambers. We must also talk to our security agents and also bring up other solutions that we think, anything we think can help to bring this situation to an end, because it's affecting the gross domestic product of this country, affecting lives, affecting properties, and creating a state of fear that some of the citizens are not able to engage even in farming and their usual trade. And it has increased hunger in the land. So thank you so much for bringing this, and I thank my colleagues for all their contributions. Leader of the Senate. Yes, the other prayer was accepted that we should observe 1 minute silence. The Senate notes with sadness the mindless killings in the Southeast, condemns such, and hereby pray to Almighty God that the souls of all those who have lost their lives should rest in perfect peace. Amen. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, I would like to move that the order matters on our order paper be stepped down for another legislative day. One, to enable distinguished senators attend to some other urgent matters, and most especially to allow our ad hoc committee that is slated for a very important meeting at 3 p.m. to be able to hold the meeting. I so move, sir.
Yes, the minority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I wish to support the motion or second the motion moved by the Leader of the Senate that will step down other matters on the order paper for today and adjourn till tomorrow, Thursday, for 11 a.m. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, a motion has been moved by the Leader of the Senate that this Senate do hereby suspend the other items on the order paper to another legislative date, and seconded by the minority leader. Those who are in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, just some announcements. We have only suspended the items on the order paper. We have not yet adjourned. This is to an invitation to attend a family wedding from Senator Salih Mustafa on the 28th of this month. But the aircraft departs at 9 a.m. and returns by 2 p.m. In Ilorin, it will be in Ilorin. I don't know, family wedding. I don't know whether he's the one wedding or his kid. Senator Mustafa, are you the one wedding or your child is wedding? Yeah. Who is wedding? Okay, the senator has a wedding that he would like our distinguished brothers and sisters to attend in Ilorin on the 28th, and he has provided means of transportation. Please, those who are available, please oblige, and congratulations to the newlyweds in advance. In view of the fact that we have exhausted all the items on the order paper for the day, this Senate is hereby adjourned to Thursday, the 27th day of July at 11 a.m.